Now from Brisbane, two men who played a big role at a club which has raised the bar for football in Australia, Matt Smith and Ken Stead, captain and assistant coach of the Brisbane Roar respectively. Guys, great to have you with us. Matt, first to you. You went back-to-back last season. What have you learnt from the last campaign about playing as champions and defending the crown?
Yeah, no, obviously going from the first year to the second year, it was always going to be a big challenge, and that's going to be no different this year, going from the second year to the third year. And I think one of the big things that we learn is how to deal with the pressure. Obviously, there's always pressure within football, but particularly when you're champions and being the hunted, we can use that experiences from last year to certainly give us some good patterns going into this third season.
And Ken, we know defending a title was extremely difficult. Do you feel the team has to improve, and if so, in what areas?
I think since day one we've continually tried to improve. I don't think we've been a club that's been guilty of sitting on our laurels. We said after the first season that that was probably going to be the biggest gap between us and other teams. So the second season it got tighter, and this season it'll get tighter again. We realise that if we want to get ahead of the rest of the teams, then there's a few things we've got to change.
Well, Ken, it's Foz. I think everyone's very interested in seeing particularly the style of play, the structure of the team, the approach. We've seen some comments out of Rado about playing, two at the base of midfield and various things. Can you give us a perspective on what we can expect to see differently from the team?
Hi, Foz. I think there's a few things. First of all, from a defensive perspective, I think we realised that last year, especially when we got to the Champions League, that we needed to be just a little bit tighter, still play our open brand of football, but be a little bit tighter at the back. At the same time, going forward, we've come across so many teams that like to, if I can use the saying, park the bus. So it's important for us that we can work out different strategies to counter this, and on occasion when it's called for, to actually get the ball forward quicker.
And Matt, it's Driller here. From a player's perspective, talk us through the changes off season in your view to the team, and what will be different this season.
Yeah, no, obviously, again, we touched on it earlier that second year is a lot harder than the first year, and for us to be competitive again this year, we can't just stay the same. We can't just stay the same with regards to the patterns of play and our style of play. So it's really important for us that we keep getting better, and that's just not with the team, but that's each individual player. And by changing things slightly, we've now got a plan A and a plan B, and maybe even a plan C. So it's important that the boys embrace it, and it's important that the boys culturally can take all the information in, and that's what we've used pre-season for. We know that we've got to change. We know that we need to keep developing, and that's been our sole goal.
And Matt, Mohamed Adnan is left for the Middle East. He was an outstanding player for you guys last season. How's your relationship on the field with Matt German now? I understand he'll be playing alongside you. How's that going? And talk us a little bit about the effect that Adnan had last season.
Yeah, no, obviously Big Mo come in, obviously from a very torrid time in his own country, and he was a bit of a surprise. We weren't too sure what to expect, but obviously as the season wore on, he then made that central defending spot his own, and obviously now that he's gone, we've now got Matt Yerman in, and obviously Yuji that's coming from Japan as well. And Yerman's really stepped up already this year. One of the things that we've seen in pre-season is with his training and his games that he's played so far is that he's getting more consistent. He's been very solid for us, and I'm very much looking forward to certainly playing with him this forthcoming season.
And Ken, Matt touched on Yuji Takahashi, one of your recruits this season. You've also got Hyun from Korea on a free transfer, and also Ben Halloran, who's probably one of the most exciting young players in the A-League. Talk us through, you haven't made many changes, but just talk us through some of the roles these guys may play, starting with Halloran.
Ben gives us a good option out wide. He's very, very quick, he's very, very direct. And like a lot of young guys these days, he doesn't play with any fear. So I think he'll cause defences a lot of problems.
And Ken, I just want to go back to that comment you made earlier about playing more directly. I read some comments from Eric Pardalou saying that the players are going to have a little bit more freedom this time. So essentially, it seems as though you're going to be allowing them to make more decisions, particularly in the centre of midfield. Would that be right? Rather than sort of setting the rotations out wide. Just take us through how the players have adapted to that. Has it been difficult for them? Because I notice in pre-season some of your results have been, you know, a little bit up and down.
Well, if you go into pre-season, I mean, we've used lots of combinations. We're very much at the stage where it's not just about developing the player, it's about developing the person as a whole. And part of that is increasing their game awareness. So whereas maybe in the past we told guys to stick to the structure, they're still sticking to a structure, but we're trying to create an environment where the guys make better choices. And I think the only way we can do that is to actually put them in a position where they have to make these choices.
Ken, what about Thomas Broich? He's obviously been an outstanding player for you guys, and he was sorely missed last season when he was out, and I think the results indicated that. We hear that he might be playing a more defensive, in a more defensive position, sitting alongside Pardalou. Is that true? How do you see his role changing this season?
I think Thomas is a person that he could play both roles. He can play the structure role where maybe he's sitting as a 6, and I know he did that in Germany a way back in his career. But at the same time, he's always the type of player that you're going to have to allow a certain amount of fluency. So I don't see us restricting him too much. I think you still see Thomas being a thorn in the defence, of a lot of teams.
And Ken, you've locked him into a 4-year deal. That must be a great coup for the club, because we know the impact Thomas Broich has had on the A-League. It must have been very satisfying to lock him in long term.
I think it's fantastic that we've got Thomas for that period of time. He's been great for us the last 2 years, both on the field and off the field, and probably to take that a stage further, I think it's great that we're locked in the others as well, because as you're aware, the culture we've had at the club is fantastic, and to be able to continue that forward, well, I think that makes a big statement about what's happening at the club.
And Matt, another very important player, successful one for you guys is Berisha. What are you expecting from him this season?
Yeah, obviously quite a lot's been said about players coming into the A-League and doing well in the first season and then maybe not doing so well in the second season. But Berisha is a character that he's very, very passionate. The way that he trains, the way that he plays, I think the teams are going to find it hard to try and keep him under wraps again this year. Again, with the style of play that we create, he's always going to get chances, and he's more than ready for the season. I think that he's a fantastic addition to our squad, not only on the pitch but off the pitch as well. I think that he gives quite a lot of passion through the way that he plays, and all the young boys and all the other boys can definitely use some of that as well.
And Ken, in relation to this football conditioning from Raymond Verheyen, I know that you've had a very lengthy background in conditioning, including in other sports, and that you've you've brought all of that to bear. How important has it been to I guess, the success of the Roar over the last few seasons? And of real interest to us is, do you see that spreading out into the other teams and becoming a feature this year?
I definitely see it getting stronger and stronger in Australia. I think that a lot of the conditioning coaches at many the other clubs, I think they're doing a wonderful job, and the standards rising quickly. I used these methods a lot when I was in England, and they've been very dominant at the Roar as well. And thanks to Ange previously and now Rado, it plays a big part in the way that we train.